Welcome back, Bearded Nation, to yet another Trade Dissection. Bearded Brother Matt here, and today we're going to tackle another old hockey adage. If you made a trade with the Atlanta Thrashers, congratulations, you got the better end of the deal. Today, we're going to look at that time that Dany Heatley wanted out of Atlanta due to a tragedy. We'll get there. And Atlanta obliged. This is the Dany Heatley Trade Dissection. So now we have to answer, who is Dany Heatley? To which I say, what? How can you ask that? Were you born under a rock? Then I calm down and remember that some of our fans don't actually do hockey, so I should explain. Dany Heatley is the son of right-winger Murray Heatley. For any puckheads out there who ask, who is that? I understand. Murray Heatley played mainly in the WHA and over in Germany. That's where his son Dany was born. And Dany is who we're actually talking about today. He would wind up playing left wing and would eventually attend the University of Wisconsin at Madison. He would be drafted second overall by the Thrashers in the 2000 NHL draft. How did he do? Well, in making his debut in the 01-02 season, he led all rookies in points with 67, and was second on his own team in goals with 26. Not bad. Oh, he'd also walk away with some hardware. The Calder Memorial Trophy as the league's top rookie. Fantastic. The next season was a huge step forward for Heatley, as he would go on to net 41 goals and 89 points in 77 games. That's downright amazing. However, just before the start of the 03-04 season, in September, Dany Heatley was driving a Ferrari 360 Modena and lost control of the vehicle, slamming into a wall. Heatley was severely injured in the resulting crash, and the man riding in the passenger seat, teammate Dan Snyder, was killed. Heatley had admitted to drinking before getting behind the wheel, although his blood alcohol content, when tested, was below the legal limit. He would take a plea deal that would see him skip court and have the vehicular homicide dropped from the charges. The team and community were very supportive of Heatley in this time. However, due to injuries, his season didn't start until January, and he only managed 25 points in 31 games as the Thrashers missed the playoffs. In 04-05, the NHL had a lockout. Before it ended, Heatley requested to be traded due to him just not being able to mentally move past the crash while in Atlanta. Atlanta looked to assist him in this and searched about for trade partners, eventually finding the Ottawa Senators. And thus the trade was stuck. The Senators would wind up with Dany Heatley. In return for giving up their budding superstar, the Thrashers would get back two pieces. Marian Hossa and Greg DeVries. Okay, so this is what actually frustrates me about Atlanta. We're going to cut down into them first. It's shorter, and it will take me less time. They could accumulate great players. Marian Hossa was a beast for them. Then they would piss them off and underpay them and get rid of them. Hossa played 2 seasons there. His first season there, after being traded, he had 92 points. And then the next season, he had 100. I don't know about you, but that's good. That's great. That's fantastic. And then they couldn't come to an agreement on the money for his extension, and away he went. Along with Pascal Dupuis. This is why I get frustrated. These are superstar players. You would expect the return to be just as great. They would trade them to the Pittsburgh Penguins for the following pieces: Colby Armstrong, Eric Christensen, Angelo Esposito, and a 2008 first round pick that would be 29th overall on account of the Pittsburgh Penguins making it to the Stanley Cup Finals. Okay. We're going to start with Dalton Lavelle, who was picked 29th overall. He never played a game for Atlanta. And let's be honest, that pick was a whiff. 2 picks later, Jacob Markstrom. However you want to say his name, Markstrom. Goalie. Fantastic goalie. A few picks after him, Roman Josi, who's constantly, these days, in the conversation as the best defenseman in hockey. In fact, further down after that was Braden Holtby. There were picks available, but they just... The best player they got was quite obviously Colby Armstrong. And in fact, there is a very funny thing on YouTube, if you go look it up, where he talks about the time that he learned he got traded to Atlanta. The only piece they got back that got traded away was Christensen. And he would be traded to the Ducks for Eric Odell. Look, this is why Atlanta was a bad team forever. And eventually lost their team as it moved back to Winnipeg. Well, it wasn't the original Winnipeg team. That's another story. But Winnipeg got their team back when Atlanta lost their team, because this is how you be a bad team forever. You make dumb decisions like this. Atlanta loses this trade. It's horrible. You sent away a 100-point guy, and then another dude who was a goal-scoring machine in Dupuis. And, I mean, you got literally nothing back. This is why Atlanta was so bad. They always got fleeced. Or if they think they fleeced someone, it would blow up in their face. Now we're going to go take a look at how a more competent team manages their assets. And they did quite well with them for a while, but you'll see. Let's go talk about it. So the Senators, they get Dany Heatley. How did he work out? Well, Heatley started his Ottawa career incredibly well. Back-to-back 50-goal, 100-point seasons. Injuries held him to just 71 games the next season, his third in Ottawa. But he still had 82 points. The fourth season in Ottawa, he played all 82 games, but only had 72 points. It was at this point that Heatley would make a public demand for a trade that caught the Sens by surprise. Heatley claimed he was unhappy with how the new coach used him. Management was upset by his comments. Canadian media went very hard at Heatley. A family friend fired back at the Canadian media. To put it mildly, it was a mess. To further complicate the situation, when the Sens tried to trade Heatley to the Oilers in a package that would have involved Andrew Cogliano, Dustin Penner, and Ladislav Schmid, Heatley refused to waive his no-trade clause and go there. Then, the team owner, Eugene Melnyk, sued Heatley over a roster bonus Heatley would be owed, and because Melnyk felt that he shouldn't have to pay that because Heatley was trying to be traded. You can see how this all goes. That wound up being settled out of court, however. Eventually, a deal would be made that Heatley would accept, and he wound up being packaged with a 2010 fifth-round pick, 136th overall, that would be used on Isaac MacLeod, and he was sent to the San Jose Sharks for a package that included Jonathan Cheechoo, Milan Mahalik, and a 2010 second-round pick that would wind up being 58th overall. Cheechoo, let's start there. His career can best be described as a mountain. It went up and then very fast back down. So he peaked and then valleyed quite quickly. He played one season in Ottawa and then was bought out. Now, the second round pick, 58th overall, would be flipped. it would be used on Kent Simpson. But the pick itself was flipped to the Islanders for Andy Sutton. Older guy, wound up being okay, played all of 18 games, and left in free agency. Mahalik, on the other hand, Mahalik was involved in a monster of a trade. It would end up being him, Colin Greening, Jared Cowan, Tobias Lindbergh, and a 2017 second-round pick, 59th overall, that would be used on Emily Rasanen. And that would all go to Toronto for a package that was Matt Fratton, Ryan Rupert, Casey Bailey, Cody Dany, and Dion Phaneuf. Okay, let's go through this piece by piece. Fratton never played for the Sens. Rupert never played in the NHL. And Casey Bailey played 7 games for Ottawa, and that was it. The last 2 players we have to spend a little time on. Dany also never played in the NHL, but he was involved in a pretty good deal where they would take Cody Dany, Mike Hoffman, and a 2020 5th-round pick, 126th overall. That pick would be used on Tyler Tullio. And send that to, hey, look, it's San Jose again. So they would get back from the Sharks a 2020 6th-round pick, 158th overall, Mikkel Boddicker, and Julius Bergman. So, going through these now. The 6th-round pick was used on Philip Doust. He's only 21, has yet to make it up to the show. We'll see if he ever does. Boddicker played 91 games for the Sens, put up 39 points. He's currently playing over in Europe. Julius Bergman, on the other hand, never played an NHL game, but he was involved in a trade in which he and Matt Duchene were traded away to the Columbus Blue Jackets for Vitaly Abramov, Jonathan Davidson, a 2019 first-round pick that was 19th overall, and a 2020 first-round pick that was conditional. The conditions on the pick were that Matt Duchene re-signed in Columbus. He didn't, as he's currently playing for the Predators. So that pick never got transferred. The rest of these guys, Abramov is currently playing over in Russia, but he's still on contract with the Sens. Davidson played 6 games with the Sens and currently plays in Europe. That first-round pick, the 2019 pick, they drafted Lassie Thompson, who's a big right-shot D. Now, he hasn't made the roster yet, but I'm sure that's coming. He's only 22. Give him some time. All right, now we have to go back up, because that's where the Cody Dany connecting tissue kind of ends. Let's talk about Dion Phaneuf. Back when he was with the Flames, they called him Double Dion. But those days are long gone. Doesn't mean he wasn't a good player. He just wasn't great anymore. Still, the Sens would make the playoffs with him and go 19 games deep in the 16-17 season. However, it was pretty clear the window for them was closing and it was time to move on, and they traded him away the following season. The deal was him and Nate Thompson to the Kings for Marian Gaborik and Nick Shore. Okay. Gaborik was a big name, but he was a rookie at the same time Heatley was. In fact, he was drafted 3rd overall by the Wild. In the same draft, Heatley was taken 2nd overall. He finished up the 17-18 season in Ottawa with 7 points. After that, he was traded. And that trade was him and Anders Nilsson, well, Gaborik's contract and Anders Nilsson, to the Tampa Bay Lightning for Braden Coburn, Cedric Paquette, and a 2022 second-round pick, 64th overall. Kind of spoiling some of the rest of this here, but the way this worked out was weird. Okay. Gaborik was immediately placed on LTIR, never played again. He officially retired after the 2021 season. The pick that was used on Nordberg, he's 18 and still in juniors. We'll see how he turns out. Coburn was an older vet who played 16 games for Ottawa and was shipped to New York for a 2022 7th-round pick they used on Tyson Deke. We're going to go with Deke so I don't get problematic. But the rest of you can read the joke there. Tyson Deke. Paquette played 9 games for the Sens and was packaged with Alex Galchenyuk and sent to the Hurricanes for Ryan Dzingel. Now, this would be Dzingel's second stint with the team. We'll talk about how his first stint ended there shortly. That ends the Gaborik side of things, so let's go over and take a look at Nick Shore. Nick Shore would eventually be flipped after playing 6 games for the Sens, and he was flipped to the Calgary Flames for a 2019 7th rounder that would be 212th overall. That would be used to draft Tyler Angle, but he wasn't drafted by the Ottawa Senators. They would flip that pick along with Ryan Dzingel, thus ending his first time on the team, and they would send that particular package to Columbus for a package that included Anthony Duclair, a 2020 second rounder 52nd overall, and a 2021 second rounder 37th overall. Duclair, big, nice, speedy player, was a very good player, didn't stick around in Ottawa, wound up signing with Florida. The 2020 second round pick was Joel Blomqvist, but that wasn't actually used by the Ottawa Senators. They would package it with Jonathan Gruden and send it to Pittsburgh for Matt Murray. Murray never actually lived up to his billing or contract in Ottawa, and they would end up trading him away with a 3rd rounder in 2023 and a 7th rounder in 2024 to the Toronto Maple Leafs for future considerations. They gave him away with sweeteners. To make this worse, that 3rd rounder was recently given away by Toronto in a deal with St. Louis for Ryan O'Reilly. Okay. Murray himself didn't do so well, or hasn't done so well in Toronto. He was bad, injured, good, injured, and we don't know. Ilya Samsonov, on the other hand, has been fantastic for them between the pipes, but that's a whole nother thing. Murray just didn't work out the way it was hoped, but he wasn't completely horrible for them. The picks, however, were really nice. Now, this 2021 second rounder, 37th overall, was used on Josh Doan, but again, not by Ottawa, as they would flip it to the Arizona Coyotes for Derek Stepan. He's no longer a Sen, left in free agency. So that ends this trade dissection. Who won? Ottawa takes the victory here. They had some good playoff runs with Heatley, and then later Phaneuf. Overall, they managed the assets better, at least until the last little bit here. But they still have a few pieces that could be decent for them from this, and in fact, could continue this dissection at a later date. Time will tell, but this dissection lives on for now. Next time, we're going to head back over to the NFL. I think I want to do a very massive trade. In fact, I think I want to cover the first ever 3-team trade that I've covered here. It wasn't the first ever 3-team trade, just the first one that I'll be covering. I want to make that clear. I'll let you ponder that cryptic message for a bit. So until next time, if you like what we do here, hit that like button. and hit that subscribe button just like they owe you money. Share us with your friends and stay bearded. Peace!